What is up, YouTube? Welcome back to Wrenching Wrecked. Part 2 of the Softail tuning video. Just got done filming the first half, getting everything ready on that. She's hot. I just had it running and idling, if you can call it that. It's not happy. I think I got some air leaks on the intake. So I already loosened the bolts on the choke plate. We gotta chase these air leaks down before I worry about anything else. I don't think it's an ignition issue. It could be, with the way the VOES is kind of laid out right now. That's something we can address in a little bit. But as of right now, I gotta get this choke plate off. This throttle is really jacked up. Don't fall too far. Gentle, gentle, gentle. So what we need to do is figure out why she's so unhappy. I can't get to the idle screw with the choke plate on, which is really annoying. And even now, with this stupid tank design, this mixture screw is terrible and seized. So here's kind of what I'm looking at on here. See how rusty that screw is? It will not let me back it out any more than that. So, do I pull the intake? It's too hot to touch or work on anything right now. I need to figure out if I'm going to pull the intake and re-put those gaskets in, maybe with some grease. I don't think I did that last time, which could have pinched it somewhere. Screw it, yeah. Carb's coming off again. And then I might as well just yank the intake if it's leaking there. I sprayed it with brake clean from this side. It did change a tiny bit, but much less. If I spray it from the other side, it revved up like crazy, but I don't know if it was wrapping around and getting into the intake. So let me turn the gas off. I think I did that already. Gas is off. We'll pop the fuel line and pull the carb. At least get a little bit farther on this. Everything's extremely hot right now. I should just go finish editing a video and come back when this cools off. I might do that. I'll pop the fuel line at least and then run in, and then we'll take a look at this throttle position screw. Don't really feel like reaching around on this thing right now. It's hot outside, it's hot here. The motor's hot. There goes the sizzle. But yeah, she kind of idled, but she's rough. Very, very rough. Don't know why, kind of know why, but I couldn't drop the idle enough. I turned the choke off and it was still hanging up really high. So, am I gonna burn myself taking this throttle cable out? Yes. Let's see. Come on, alligator vice grips. There we go. Now the only other thing I could do is leave the throttle cable disconnected and try firing it up again. I shouldn't actually need it for anything other than the accelerator pump, which I can manually turn. Man. Come on. All right, throttle cable's free now. Did that close anymore? Can't really tell. I wonder if there's enough in the bolt. I'll run this. There's no choke. Let's see what happens. Throttle cable's hanging up on it a little bit. Seems like now that that's kind of out, maybe I need to put the other bracket on. Do I have 7/16 out here? So if you don't have the throttle cable hooked up, 7/16 wrench will work to activate your throttle. So I don't know if it's because of the cable that I couldn't turn that idle adjuster nut. 3 squirts. I don't know how much gas I have in this bowl. I mean, I should have more than that, I would think, but S&S's aren't the best, in my opinion, for idling them without an actual gas line hooked up. Maybe we'll... Should have done this first. This was dumb. Would have been a better diag tool, knowing that that throttle was a little on the snug side. I wasn't sure how tight it was. I thought there was enough free play there, but screw it. We'll put the fuel line back on. It's one hose clamp. So we'll snug this back up, make sure I'm actually getting fuel, and then we'll try and idle it now that I have access to some screws. And it's warm enough that I shouldn't need the choke. Alright, gas on. 7/16 accelerator pump wrench. Squirt, squirt, squirt. This is also going to be bouncing all over the place without that choke plate on, because that's what holds this carb in, but mixture screw right now is seated, which is not where you want it. We'll go half, one turn out. Seated, half, one. so that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna run in, I'm gonna edit the end of that last video and then come back out here and keep messing with this. Definitely have a leak on the intake somewhere. And we'll try and get this started. And then while I have the carb and the intake off, we gotta take a look at this idle speed screw adjuster because it is not happy. I need to have the idle mixture screw, this top one up here, pretty much a quarter turn out from all the way in, otherwise it's high revving like crazy. So we're gonna start with the air leaks before anything else, get it back together, then we can start looking at the ignition and things like that and see if that's the actual issue on this. So, almost there. It's starting, it's running, and it's semi-idling under its own power. So, step in the right direction, just now it's tuning before we can even think about taking this thing out. We'll be back when this thing cools off. We are back. New shirt, sweated through the first one. It's a whopping 94 degrees out here. And it is hot. I don't have a fan in here anymore. My fan finally died. So we're sweating through it, but I got the carb off. I'm not gonna make you rewatch that. Went to the other side, got the carb off. I just cracked the bolts loose on the intake on the left side, the primary side. 2 half-inch bolts on the back, and then now I just need to grab some stubby Allen keys and try and get to these ones, or maybe I can do it with a swivel. See how lucky I can get trying to loosen this. It's a little bit easier than a shovel head would be, but I tell you what, I have had very minimal issues in terms of sealing up a shovel head intake. This one, on the other hand, oh geez, that was very loose. I did tighten these, didn't I? It's been so long since I've worked on it. Stupid hose is in my way. Wow. Okay. Did I not snug these down all the way? Whatever, maybe. I'm human, I make mistakes. But while we're at it, I mean, this was hand tight. That's not good. Do I keep going? Screw it. We're already this far. Did I really not tighten those down? I mean, that's incredibly loose. There's a chance. I'm not perfect. I make mistakes like everybody else, but damn. That would be a bad one. Stupid bolt on the intake's fighting me now because I didn't pull it yet. I guess I could have just taken that all the way out. Either way. We'll pop it out when I put these back in, just to make it easier on myself. There we go. What did we do here? And the gasket seems okay. Oh. Should be just fine. I don't see any major issues on here other than the fact that some idiot didn't tighten the bolts down. Alright, so we got the upper bolt out of the way now. Oh, that could do it too, huh? A vacuum plug. It's got a crack in it. That would explain quite a bit, actually. Okay. Hey, how's it going? We'll be right back. More motor block prep. Sorry, neighbor came by. Not a big deal. But vacuum leak on this, that for sure could have been a culprit. We're also just going to go through and make sure. I'm going to leave that off so I don't forget about that. We got to run out and go hopefully pick up some stickers for the Gorelli right now, or at least get something. And then we'll keep jamming on this later on today. Well, I'm not gonna lie, it's been a handful of days. We did wall neck swap, Motoblot, all kind of in between. I was hoping to get back here and keep jamming on the Softail, but I just ran out of time. So I got the carb sitting over here. Hopefully that's drained enough. And where else did we leave off on this? Too many things happening. Oh, intake. So we got the intake off down here, and if you remember, I got a split right there in the vacuum nipple cap. So we'll throw a new one of them on, and then we just gotta, I think, start putting some stuff back. So why don't we get the intake reassembled and reinstalled, and then we'll take a look at the carb. Intake first, yeah. Intake, then the carb. It's kind of how you have to do it, but that's where we're at. I didn't grease these seals last time. I think I'm gonna. I don't think you necessarily have to, but I have it here, and it might just help seat this a little bit easier if I can find my grease. Oh, it's already out next to me. Okay. Not doing a lot, but just enough to kind of seal up a little bit better here. Make everything nice and slippery and much harder to reinstall, basically. But it should allow a little bit more movement in regards to trying to tighten all of this down. If it starts pushing on anything, this grease should give it a little bit of wiggle room, in theory. New to Evo stuff, so if I'm way wrong, let me know. If this is a terrible idea, also let me know. It'll be way too late to fix it by then, but... Alright. 2 clamps greased. Clean myself up a little bit here. Yeah, a lot more wiggle room now. So that should be a little more helpful. Then, I don't know how well any of this is actually going to show up on camera, because it is pretty dark back there. But we'll make do. Ooh, what did I need? Vacuum. I need a vacuum plug. Put that on first. Just like so. Then I got these on backwards. I don't know if it matters. There's an R and an F, so we might as well just do it the right way now. There we go. So now I got the R on the back, like it should be. Let me just wrestle this thing in and out. Got the one. Let's rotate this around. There we go. Just a little bit of an alignment issue there. I'll get these ones kind of hand tightened. So I keep everything lined up. And we'll make sure we actually snug these down this time, because that would be helpful. Okay, the rear cylinder is mounted in between the stud on the other side. And we got one of the Allen bolts in. Front one. Line up, you. Was on. There we go. Man, I don't know why I was struggling so much on that. But now we got hand tight on both up front. Then we'll go to the other side, tighten that down. I'll be back after I'm done getting that intake back on. All right, so I tightened up the rear. Now we're just tightening up the front. Ball sockets here are your best friend. Especially when you remember to tighten these bolts. Okay, we are in and snug down on the intake. That is good. Now, we got a new vacuum nipple up top. We're pretty much ready to start throwing the carb back on, but the carb's broken. Not broken, fixable, but here's kind of where we're at. Hopefully most of the gas drained out of this. I want to pull this idle screw completely out, and then I want to go through and pop this mixture screw out. So this, I don't really care where it's tuned right now because it's irrelevant, but I want to yank this out completely and make sure that one, we still have a tip on here, and two, that this passage is clear. So, let's say that looks all right. There's that. Out of juice. But I can actually see light right through here. The passage on the S&Ss is pretty large. So I'll thread this idle speed screw back, or mixture screw back in. So that's seated in the body. We'll go half, one and a half. So we're 1.5 turns out. Now, mixture screw. This is the one that was giving me a hard time. I don't know if it's the wrong threads or if it's just so rusted. It feels like it threads in okay. But we're gonna pop this all the way out. I think I'm gonna swap this with the other carb that's sitting here, provided those are the same. Because this thing, it's like somebody Loctited it or the threads got jacked up, I don't really know. But for a screw that's supposed to adjust your speed, this just didn't seem, yeah, you can see all the corrosion on here. So there's the spring. Focus. I was hitting a wall right there, and it was kind of binding up and stuck. So we'll give that one a swapperoo with the one off this other carb, which is a flathead and should be way easier to turn. So I'm guessing at some point they lost the screw or something along those lines, but that was not the factory style one. Not that it should make all that much of a difference, but two S&Ss in your lap. In the comments, remember the last time I pulled this carb apart, I was saying that this carb was bigger. It's because it is. It's a G. I didn't even look. So bad on me. I just assumed it was a Super E, but it was not. It is a Super G. I'll show you that in 1 second once I get done stealing this screw. Here's the one we tried putting on there. Super G, marked on the side. Still leaking. All right. Lots of similarities between the two carbs as far as I'm aware, other than the actual bore size. But all right, when you replace the speed screw completely, this one is going in way easier and moving way freer. There's a lot of meat on the body for this, so going all the way down till I'm just off the plate right now. It's not opening on the throttle at all. Now the screw's just starting to touch right here. Now it's moving. So I'm gonna leave that pretty much closed, and we'll bump that up as we go. So right there, the blades are still closed. I can just start seeing light right there. So that should do it. Now, gasket, fiber, O-ring fiber. So you got an O-ring on the carb, flat on one side, O-ring on the other. O-ring goes to the manifold, O-ring goes to the flat side of the fiber plate. And I don't think I'm gonna film putting the car back on, so we'll be back once this is mounted. And in the tricky part, it's hard to film that because I'm coming in through the backside. You guys can't see what I'm doing anyway, not that it really makes that big of a difference, but this is all back together now. So now, I was gonna drop the throttle back in, but I think I'm gonna try and fire this up and just kind of see where the idle's at first. I don't know. I really can't tell if this is hanging up on the cable linkage. Like there's a chance it could be with this bracket on here. See, that to me looks like it's hanging up for sure. Yeah, maybe it's not. I really can't tell. And once it gets hot, I mean, I do have some play in the throttle here. Screw it, we'll leave that hooked up. If it's over revving, I can get that out with a pair of ice grips. And right now, I don't know if that's gonna show up either, but you can see the slack on the cable. It shouldn't need much. I think that idle speed screw is just kind of stuck. This one I can at least get to and adjust. So now we're pretty much down to fuel line. Get that back on, fill the bowl, and it should start right up. I got the horn disconnected still, but we can worry about that part later. VOES we can do later. I'm just dropping the plugs in on this side too. But come over here, grab that fuel line. Oh, don't forget your hose clamp. Don't act like you haven't done that before. Everybody's put a hose fitting on without the clamp and then yelled at yourself after. Okay, so loosen this one up, slide this on. Get on there. Just like that. Pull this out a little bit. Tighten up the fuel line. And then we'll do a quick leak check. Should have put this on the other way. Giving myself a little more room, but it is what it is. Okay, gas is on now. So I'll let this fill up the bowl. We hear it. No leaks. Big squirt of fuel. So we should be pretty good. I'm not putting the choke plate on yet. But I will set this kind of loose just enough to grab and pull that choke up for starting. I think this should be ready to fire. Let me close the door, open the big garage door. Don't know why I turned the lights off. Or why my regular light was off. No wonder it was so dark in here. Okay, so it's 3 squirts of gas, key on. We're still in neutral. How many things do I have that are gonna rattle off this bench? Don't want the carburetor falling off. The rest of it, I don't really care. The horn's disconnected right now, but that shouldn't make a difference. And screw it. Way better. That's no choke, too. Already sounds a million times better. No choke, fired right up, 3 squirts of fuel. Not leaking. It's holding a nice little idle. We have not changed the mixture screw. It's not warm enough to mess with that yet, but this is what it's supposed to sound like. Idle returns like it's supposed to. Up a little bit. Really healthy. For me to continuously be able to keep dropping that, it is pretty happy where it's at. We'll let this run for a little bit, I guess. Holding a dead quiet idle. I don't like running them like this though. I'm actually really impressed that it's doing that on an untuned mixture screw. I like it about there. I don't have a tack on here, so just going by ear. Happy throttle. Putting this on before it gets too hot. I killed it. It's because I pulled the choke up. It doesn't need the choke anymore. I'm extremely happy with that. In terms of doing what I thought it seemed like an air leak, especially out those intake seals with how loose they were. That was on me. I messed that one up for sure. I think what I did is left them loose to come back and tighten them up when I went around and tightened up the 1/2-inch bolts on the other side, and forgot to come back over and final tighten them. So these ones will be a little bit better. I mean, that was just foolish. The intake, with how loose those bolts were, obviously it was going to be leaking. Same thing on the, what do you call it? Vacuum nipple. So 2 leak points that were pretty pronounced, and I don't remember this the last time I fired it up that it was revved up like that. Motor sounds extremely happy now. And I saw in the comments somebody mentioned some, oh, mother, I forgot to clip the choke. Well, I had the clip choked, or choke clipped, and then I moved it and killed the bike, and I never re-clipped it. There we go. Somebody in the comments did mention, make sure that you just Loctite or snug these screws down. They did rattle loose when this thing was running like crap last time. I did not do a final torque on this beforehand. I knew I was going to kind of be messing around with that, so that was also on me. That, again, is not final torqued at all. But, come on. Why do I keep putting my tools? This is annoying. Where's my big? There we go. Same size as the card bolts on the other side, so that's why. Also don't need a million extensions right now. So I think we're just about ready. How much stuff do I gotta move? I think this might be okay to take for a test ride. The clutch is sticking. If you remember, I think I mentioned that. The clutch is definitely sticking. So we'll have to kind of adjust and address that at some point. Hopefully it just breaks free once we get it fired up and running. Ooh, probably pay attention to where these fittings are. I know this is not the right way to have them set up on here, but I'm just going straight up and down for right now. Probably gonna have to move these washers or grind off a section of these washers when we go to final assemble this, because I don't have that weird S&S breather hose on here. And I don't think the hose will clear with the big washers on the back like that. All right, so those are on. This still isn't going to be a final. A little bit of blue Loctite on here for reassurance, though, isn't a bad idea. On the carb bolts, because yes, if these rattle free, good chance they're going into your car. All right, choke back off. Oh, sounds so happy. So we were 1.5 turns out. Halfway in. Diane. Back to our half. So as that sits right now, it's 1 full turn out from seated. Back to 1.5. You can hear it kind of chopping a little bit. 1.5. You can hear it kind of thump, 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 thump. Idle drops just a hair. That's running a little on the rich side. At 1 turnout, idle picks up a tiny bit. A little bit smoother. Right there. I go another 1/4 turn past, it goes the other way. Now it's slowing down. You hear it stumble. We go back. I'm gonna leave it right there. Picking up over the exhaust, probably not much, but if you stand next to the carb, you can hear the carb change too. It's really the breather. That's it. Let me take a look at what I gotta clear out of here and see if we can take this around the block and hopefully free up that clutch and not crash. Compared to the other day, this thing sounds like $1 million, so. Nice low, steady idle. Let's put the horn and stuff on too. Before I forget. Then we'll see how it runs without the VOES. No idea where my batteries are. Fine, now let's tighten this down. We'll be back. Yeah, this thing is a pig. All right. Okay, we need to throw a little bit of air in the front tire. And hopefully we've got enough gas to go around the block, or attempt to. Not overly optimistic here. First time it's seen sunlight in quite a while. Not that there's any sun today, but you know what I mean. And then, what do I want to do? Should I grab the tank mount or something? I don't really care about the paint on these. Just a crappy magnet. We'll see how this thing actually runs, and then, you know, if I do get the clutch stuck and it doesn't want to disengage and we have to abort, it'll be fun. Not banking on that, but there is a likelihood of it. Let me switch some mounts. We'll turn this thing around. So I know this is not the most ideal dash view, since, you know, you're sitting on the tank on top of a microfiber towel. But here's kind of where we're at. The bike runs, we know that. I brought with me one flathead and one Phillips head screwdriver. Now, I did adjust the clutch, and it semi-worked, but I don't know what this is going to do on the road. I'm not banking on this being a very good one, because I couldn't get that back wheel to spin nice, easy, smooth, free. But I'm willing to risk it to try and free that clutch up. So this could work, this could not work. I have no idea. Never know till you try. So at least we'll try and aim out of the ditch towards the street. We're running, we're idling. I'm gonna click this in first, and we could just take off or it'll stall. It did none of those things. So that's good. Huh. I think we're okay. It's not even lurching on me. Man, for how tight that back wheel was, unless it was stuck on the belt. We also don't know how the brakes are on this. Second. Front brakes are kind of working. Yeah, she's diving. Front brakes should be good. Brakes are grabbing too, but they're working. You don't get much play in that pedal. I think I might try and re-bleed the backs. I think this thing could be ready to go for an out of the neighborhood trip. Double check to make sure that the carb bolts are tightened down. Clutch feels okay. Brakes are kind of freeing up, so we're just going to run with that. Feels good on the carb, though. I mean, obviously we haven't laid into it or revved it up high enough to get into the upper range, but it's a nice mess. Definitely doesn't sound like a shovelhead though. Not a bad running bike. Neutral, you gotta kind of flip it, but she dropped into neutral just the way it's supposed to. Stupid kickstand. Oh, stupid driveway. I mean, what more could you ask for? It's black, it's got a wide glide, Softail frame, runs good. We're in pretty good shape. So what I'm gonna do now is, before I clean all this crap up, I think I'm gonna take a quick test run over to my buddy Lucky Knuckles' shop and bring this back over to them now that it's actually running and riding. And that's 15-minute test run, shakedown, if you will. Good little bit of different types, you know, slow speed to mid 50s. And if I break anything or anything's messed up, they got all the tools in the world, so I don't have to bring a ton of stuff with me. I'll bring the 2 screwdrivers, not that I think I'm gonna need to mess with the carb or the idle at all, but never know. Let's take a ride. Not a big fan of this lack of grip, but I had another set of these 3D printed ones from Old Iron Parts Co. sitting in the house, just on the shelf, so temporary. I'll jam this guy on. Better than nothing. Then I'll throw a fresh battery in and we'll go for a quick cruise. Hopefully you enjoyed the little time lapse. Punched the thing around over to my buddy's shop, went back from his shop to new shop, parked the bike, grabbed the van because I gotta do some more airline stuff at my old shop. So all of my fittings I brought over. We're moving my big electric compressor upstairs along with my old dead electric compressor. So I got that gutted, but all of my 3/4 fittings were at the other shop. Those don't fit on the Softail. Bummer. So that's kind of where we're at. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. The bike is running like a top. I'll keep you updated as we continue to progress on that. Not sure exactly how much we're gonna do. I do know that those munch trees will narrow up that front, and kind of a cool narrow wide glide if I wanted to go that far, but honestly it's turnkey, it's electric start, everything's working. There's a couple little odds and ends left. Rear brake light switch, not working. Rear brake works, not the switch. So we got rear brake light switch, and eventually that bike will need base gaskets. I kind of assumed that because everything was siliconed around the entire base, but I kind of pushed it off, make sure it's running riding before I dive farther into it. It would have made sense to do all of that while it was sitting on the bench, but I ran out of time and barely had time to get it up and running again. So VOES switch is disconnected. I did not notice any hesitation or stumbles anywhere in the RPM range. Seems to be running really well. So that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Like, comment, subscribe. We'll keep you posted as we find more stuff that breaks. Almost have a garage again. Let's go into the shop next. Catch you on the next one.